Shalom. I have a question about Isaiah 53:5 when it says, "By his stripes we are healed." I am discipling somebody who is desperately longing to be healed of her physical ailments. She was taught that once we are born again and our sin nature is fully submitted to the Messiah, physical healing will automatically follow. She points to her own lack of faith and her past sins as to why God hasn't healed her yet. This has resulted in a lot of anger and feelings of shame and blame that she puts on herself. Do you have any passages to show her the care of God even when he chooses not to heal? Thank you.
Thank you for this important question and your deep concern for this young lady. You know, the passage of Isaiah 53:5 is often used to claim physical healing. Let us read the full verse. This is what it says. But he, that is Yeshua, the Messiah, was pierced through for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The chastisement of our well-being fell upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. First, there is an assumption behind this interpretation that believers are not supposed to get sick at all, and some push it even by saying that falling sick is a sign actually of shallow faith. But in the scriptures, men and women do sometimes get sick, and not because they lack faith, but because we live in a fallen world. It is important to point out to your friend that physical illness, along with many other problems we face, are results from sin in the world. Wars, weather changes, famines, rebellion, these issues, along with physical illnesses, can be grouped together as the outcome or consequences of a fallen world. It is wrong to put physical illness in a separate category by itself and evaluate one's faith based on whether they are healed or not. If we're praying, why then isn't it world famine or world wars resolved and done away with? Do we equally blame our faith when our prayers are not powerful enough to stop wars and famines? And how did God deal with Bible heroes who were strong in their faith, yet they struggled with physical weaknesses? One example is Paul, who 3 times actually he asked God to heal him of a certain sickness, but God answered him that his grace is sufficient for him. 2 Corinthians chapter 12. And the Lord gives the reason by saying that power is perfected in weakness. So there was a purpose for Paul's sickness. At this point, Paul understood that his sickness was according to God's will. He understood that there was a greater purpose for his illness, however, that it was in God's hand. The faithful Timothy, who had stomach ailment, as we see in 1 Timothy chapter 5, but Paul directed him to take some remedy, right? Why did God not heal Timothy right away? We don't know. But for him as well, there surely was a greater purpose. We can extend that to all who are in the Messiah. We all face issues that challenge our faith. Our responsibility is to trust the Lord and submit to his will, accepting his decisions, knowing that he has our greater good, our eternal good at hand. This being said, Isaiah 53:5 has actually been applied to both situations in the New Testament. It is cited once for physical healing and another time for spiritual healing. The first instance when this passage was cited is in Matthew chapter 8, verses 16 to 17. It says that after they brought some sick people to Yeshua,
Many who were demon-possessed, and he cast out the spirits with a word and healed all who were ill. This was to fulfill what was spoken through Isaiah the prophet. He himself took our infirmities and carried away our diseases.
So here we're told that this verse was being fulfilled through the miracle of physical and also spiritual healing. So we can pray for physical healing based on this verse in Isaiah with an understanding that God is sovereign and knows when it is best time to heal. The other passage is in 1 Peter 2:24. This is what it says.
And he himself bore our sins in his body on the tree, so that we might die to sin and live to righteousness. For by his wounds you are healed.
Here the passage is used exclusively for spiritual healing, that is for salvation in Yeshua. And so we can claim this passage for the salvation of man, for instance, of our family members, of our friends. In sum, it is not wrong to claim physical healing from this passage with the understanding that healing may or may not happen right away, but instead we need to have complete confidence in God.